In the time of coronavirus pandemic that is shaking the entire world, the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, CCMB's role is going to be hugely prominent in terms of finding the structure, causes, and the pattern of its spread. Another entity who is helping India to access crucial healthcare services in these testing times under Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is NHA, National Health Authority. To talk about India COVID-19 response by CCMB and NHA, we are joined by Praveen Gedam, Additional Chief Executive Officer, National Health Authority, Government of India. Rakesh Mishra, Director, CCMB, Government of India. This fireside chat will be moderated by Lalit Mistry, Director, Healthcare, Public Health and Digital Health, KPMG, India.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen Gedam and Dr. R.K. Mishra for being part of this very interesting event today. We are today at the event of the Innovation and the Intelligent Healthcare Summit. And we are very happy to have you here today for the panel discussion of India's COVID-19 response and the role of the Center for Molecular and Biology and the National Health Authority today. And I'd like to welcome Dr. Pradeep Gedam, who is Additional Chief Executive Officer at National Health Authority, and Dr. R.K. Mishra, who is the Director, Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, Government of India. Welcome, sir. It's my pleasure to be having you here. I'm Lalit Mistry, Director, KPMG Healthcare Practice, and I'm today going to be the moderator of this session. So it's my pleasure. Welcome here, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
So today, it's very interesting situation where we are currently all facing today, responding to the COVID-19 response. We have never witnessed such kind of a challenges before, and we have never been exposed to the preparedness of such kind of a crisis. We have seen in the last 6 months, the way the government of India has responded and the various stakeholders have come together to collectively work towards this crisis management. It's been phenomenal experience so far. We also understand the two institutions whom you represent today have played a very critical role in terms of preparing and responding to such kind of a crisis. I would like to have your views today, starting with Dr. Rakesh Kumar Mishra, about the various innovation and approaches that were taken in the last 6 months. Starting with the first question from my side, sir, what are the various innovative approaches that India adopted to provide mass screening, mass surveillance, and diagnostic solutions for COVID-19?
Thank you. Thank you for organizing this discussion. And it's very important that we not only do things, but we discuss, realize, and learn from each other, because these are times where rules are being developed every day. So when this crisis came and became more and more prominent end of March, something when lockdown was declared, and we realized the problem, and its amplitude, that how big this is going to be. At that time, our country had very little testing facility for this disease. So we didn't know much about this disease. Even now we understand a little bit, but most of the things are unknown as far as the clinical aspects of disease are concerned. But first and foremost thing is to do the diagnosis and figure out how many people are infected, who are infected, so that one can do something about it. And to do diagnosis of a disease which is spread so fast, so you need very large number of test centers and trained workers who can handle a disease which is so frightening at that time that once you get exposed, you will be infected. So it was a huge challenge. And we are very, very in a completely different situation today. We are far more prepared. Hospitals are better positioned to accommodate large number of patients. And most importantly, one thing which is most important to do is to test very large number of people today. As you can see, then lakhs and lakhs of people are being tested today. This has happened with multiple contributions from many agencies. One thing is that at certain time in the beginning, we were importing almost everything that was used for testing. Now there is hardly anything that is imported. Most of things are manufactured within the country. Those days, very few labs were able to test. Now there are more than 1,000 public sector labs and many private organizations which are able to test. So that's why testing capacity has increased. And in these efforts, the first thing that institutions like CCMB, these are academic institutions, their job is to do research, and particularly we do fundamental research, not applied ones. But when this kind of opportunity problem comes, it also comes as an opportunity, because people look at you because they don't know what to do. So you are a scientist, they will look at you to what to do. And at that time, our staff, our students, particularly the PhD students, they uh, rose to the occasion and decided to convert our labs into testing and training labs. We set up the testing, we started training people. Near Hyderabad, all medical schools who were designated by ICMR for testing, they came to our lab. We trained them for 2 days, intensive training. And most important thing was to make them feel comfortable that you can handle the virus or infected samples safely. So that was the first thing we did, because that instills confidence, and we established working relationship in this context with the hospitals, with the state government, and started testing at our own in our own labs. And since then we are doing these two activities continuously, testing and training. And another decision we took was to use our laboratory to culture this virus, because unless you have the material, you cannot do any innovation with it. So this was a very crucial decision for we had VSL3 laboratory. So we reorganized it and started growing this virus. It was a challenge. The virus which infects so easily, to grow in the lab was a challenge. So, but we figured that out. Now we can grow this virus in liters in very large quantity, and that has allowed us a lot of innovative things to do. Just to list a few of them, for instance, we tied up with a company and make this virus in large quantity, inactivate it, and give to the company who takes it and immunizes large animals, in this case horses. And idea is to produce therapeutic antibodies, and we have made very good progress. Now these antibodies are being tested in laboratory. We have done what is called neutralization assay, and is very, very effective. And very soon we will going for human trials, and hopefully this is going to be the one of the first specific, you can call in a way, drug which will be available for this disease. It may come in a couple of months once if the trials go well. So that is one innovation we did. And we also set up the cell culture system. So that means the virus is growing in the cells. So if you add something which will stop the virus from growing, then the cells will not die, and cells will grow and not the virus. So which means it is a very good assay where you can look for something which kills specifically COVID-19 virus and not the cells in which we are growing. So, and that became available, large number of companies and research institutions, including DRDO, IITs, lots of them. In fact, close to 200 institutions and companies came to us for various testing, screening. Some person comes with a reagent which they think is antiviral. It can disinfect a surface. It can remove the virus from a surface, and so on. So because we are growing the virus, and we have a system in which we can assay if the virus is stopped or is growing. So we are now using this system to screen new drugs. Some are plant products, some are repurposed drugs. And I can tell you now there are many interesting candidates which I think soon should be ready to go to human trials. Of course, they have to pass few other tests. So at least it opens up the possibility of something which we did not know the name of this virus till end of last year. Now we are able to handle this virus and even find treatment for this, assays for that. So that is, and then of course growing the virus also gives you opportunity to go for vaccine programs, because we raised the vaccine against this antibodies against this virus in animals. So that means now we can set up a neutralization assays, and we are using the inactivated virus as one of the vaccine candidates, and hopefully that will be go forward. So these are a few of the innovations that we did. And If you don't mind, I can just describe very briefly the innovation that we did in the testing itself. See, we are research laboratory. When we are testing, then we will not just simply be testing like a diagnostic center. Our student will be constantly thinking, asking why we are doing this. Can we do it better? And that led to many little innovations. For instance, these virus samples are given to us in a tube in a solution called VTM, viral transfer medium. This 3 ml of VTM comes, and often it comes from primary healthcare centers, from various sample collection centers. It's leaking, it's packed so much that it takes hours and hours to open it. So we made many small innovations which go a long way in making this process efficient. So first thing we did was that instead of testing one sample at a time, you can actually pool and test 5 samples at a time. So which increases your efficiency of testing 5 times. So you have to do some homework. You have to do some standardization. We mix 5 samples and see if even one, if it's positive, it is showing up, and those things. And you have to modify a little bit the protocol. You have to reduce the VTM volume, all those things. And ICMR agreed to allow such a test, and many labs started using pool testing. In Hyderabad, we were given especially samples from various districts where infection rate was low, because you can do pooling if infection is less than 5% and so on. So that helped a lot. It saved a lot of reagents because you can do now many tests in one go, and makes the process fast because you are not testing 100, now you will be testing only 20. So that makes life very simple.
One such very important stakeholder that Dr. Praveen Gedam represent today is National Health Authority. And so we would like to hear from you, what are the various initiatives undertaken by NHA for COVID-19 response management?
As you may be aware that the National Health Authority is in charge of implementation of Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, which is a health insurance scheme sponsored by Government of India in alliance with various state governments. Now, it provides for insurance for inpatient treatment of every type in its empaneled hospital. OPD treatment is not covered, but in spite of that, we specifically, as a policy call, included tests which are essentially based on OPD basis in one of the health benefit packages. So tests for COVID were included. Then treatment for COVID, because COVID being a new disease, and the symptomatic treatment was already available in the form of treatment for pneumonia, for example, or treatment for respiratory distress, for example. But COVID brought about changes in the medical protocols. You now require PPEs, more manpower per bed, and so on and so forth. So the cost of treatment has gone up. So these additional COVID premium cost, we took call to pay that additional amount to hospitals, and so these two packages were included: COVID treatment and COVID testing. One important thing, that the COVID treatment and testing in any case is free in various government institutions. So this has been used largely to back up the government facilities wherever required with the private support. So though the number for the size of country like India may not look very high, for example 80,000 tests and 32,000 treatments, but we have to see that otherwise as well they are being taken care of from non-PMJ government resources. So this is a contribution of PMJ to this management of COVID, and then there were a lot of back-end activities. So you may also be aware of government helpline 1075 for COVID. We are managing, National Health Authority is managing it. Almost 3 million phone calls we have handled so far. We have also managed to call various Arogya Setu users and put them in touch with doctors whenever required. We have been using our IT system to analyze and identify triggers and peaks of various symptoms and packages, which may give hints about rising number of cases of COVID in particular area, and then alert the corresponding authorities. Also, given the fact that a lot of health infrastructure was overwhelmed due to the magnitude of the pandemic, we also started fast empanelment of various hospitals, and I'm happy to share that after lockdown, almost 2,500 new hospitals joined Ayushman Bharat network, taking the tally to almost 24,000 now. And this has significantly helped in treatment of not only COVID, but wherever facilities as a whole have been converted into COVID facility, the treatment of non-COVID cases, non-COVID diseases also become a problem, particularly for poor and needy people. So this additional pool of hospitals, in addition to the earlier pool of hospitals, came in very handy for treating non-COVID cases as well. So I think that's about it in extremely brief that I tried to tell about what has been the response of NHA in COVID response.
Going back to Dr. Rakesh Kumar Mishra, sir, we understand that in crisis, the collaboration is very important aspect. How did government and private sector work together in your field or with your institution to respond to such situation?
Yes, that has been actually amazing how people joined hand, address the problem. And here, delivery is very straightforward that do something about this disease. There is no other alternative to that. And since the objective was very clear, lots of people see that shows that how much energy and talent and potential is there around. That in such a short period of time, so many things have been happening. So for instance, we are interacting with large companies, the company like Arvindo, company like Vince Biologicals for the therapeutic antibody, Arvindo and Bharat Biotech for the vaccine, and the Syngene, which is a biocon arm for developing very high-end what we call as NGS, the next generation sequencing based diagnostic, where you can diagnose something like 50,000 people in one go. So these are the technology that you can do. You can plan, you can do at experimental level in the lab, but if you have to take it to people, you need industry partnership. And that's where it was so obvious that in one meeting with the biocon scientists, including Kiran Majumdar and our DG and us, we figured out what we can do, and we started from there, and we are very close to delivery of something which might be a game changer. You can test a large number of people in a go. At the moment is to how to get out of this pandemic. That will take its own time, and this is something which through this medium I would like to emphasize is not only the government job. It in fact is 60-70% people's responsibility, because we don't know many things about this virus. There is no drug, there is no vaccine, and that's not going to be any in next several months. At least if we are very lucky, next year we might get something. But it has also given new capabilities and new determination for people to do things in very different pace with very different trajectory. So I think we will take these things further because the benefits of this are very obvious. And one last thing which I would like to say is that there is no travel now. So many new technology, many new innovations we are having this discussion and debate sitting in different places. So these are the new ways of doing things. Lots of our students who would have left and gone to America, to Europe, they are with us. They are the brightest, the best asset that we have. So that is another benefit we are having, that our talented people will be now around, and it is important for government. Their government role becomes very important, and of course industry to take care of them, because these are the people. They should not get disillusioned, they should not get disheartened. So they should be given opportunities to innovate, to be productive, and they are the one who are going to change the situation from disadvantage to advantage. So in this way, many positives have come out from the COVID, and I'm very happy that at a different level, whether it's government, the institutions, or industry, have come really strongly together and work for a combined goal. So yeah, many positives to look for.
Your experience of the data and the importance of digital health in this entire crisis management, and how NHA sees the future embedded with both National Digital Health Mission and the Ayushman Bharat scheme with the data and the digital health driven management?
See, this what we are witnessing right now is a watershed moment in the history of mankind. And there are a lot of disruption happening in all sectors, including in the health sector, probably the most important one. And this has brought the importance of digital technology in the healthcare to the forefront. Now, one should understand that medical science is a very difficult subject to be stated in the language of 0 and 1. It's a biology. So, the bringing in IT in health is much more difficult than other fields like engineering or some other such fields. So a lot of concerted efforts have been going on all over the world. A lot of standardized nomenclatures have been developed, systems and classifications have been developed, but the sector continues to remain extremely fragmented. We have n number of different types of IT systems being used in different parts of India, in different hospitals, with different doctors, and so on and so forth. So the National Digital Health Mission, which was announced by Honorable Prime Minister on 15th of August, is going to play a key role in bringing all such islands. Some of them are of excellence and some of them needs to be brought up in the standard together on a common platform so that interoperability, the seamless portability becomes possible. And while at the same time, we have to also ensure that the digital divide is not further increased. So we have to take care of far-flung area, tribal areas, hilly areas, unconnected people. So this mission has been started recently in pilot phase in 6 union territories, and National Health Authority is driving this implementation thanks to its experience in the IT use of IT in Ayushman Bharat. We have been using IT in our scheme of Ayushman Bharat for various purposes, right from empanelment of hospitals, then providing, identifying the beneficiary, providing treatment, generating claims. So it's end-to-end IT-based paperless system. And we do have some experience in having information security and data privacy in place to analyze and monitor and evaluate the scheme's progress by using various dashboards to identify suspect cases of fraud and abuse and then take them to logical end to address grievances coming from citizens. So we will be using all this rich experience in the NDHM, and future definitely lies with the digital health on the base platform that we intend to provide. Now, given the kind of restrictions in physical movement, for example, and we have realized the importance of unnecessary travel, unnecessary meetings, including unnecessary encounters, physical travel to healthcare facilities. So telemedicine and in future, subject to regulatory approvals, e-pharmacy and use of all these anonymized and aggregated data for better policy and research and suitable interventions is going to be key. And I think we are witnessing that moment in the history, that particular development. I hope in next few months, India will leapfrog into the altogether different league as far as digital health is concerned.
Rakesh sir, your inputs that India is considered as a pharmacy of the world, and we continue to show that during this crisis that India has provided the CQs and the support. And going forward in the vaccine development, India has a very major role to play. We would like to hear your inputs on this, sir.
Vaccine is, of course, the first preference. Drugs are the second one. If you have vaccine, then you don't need a drug. And drug means you already need a hospital, already all those things. But we also know that vaccine is not a sure shot. It is a tough virus. There is no vaccine against any coronavirus, no proper vaccine against coronavirus. People have tried hard against HIV. There's no vaccine. And against the common cold, which is the very close cousin of this virus, there is no vaccine. It changes every now and then. Having said that, things don't look that bad already because the effort that is being put for the vaccine all over the world, including India, is just phenomenal. It has never happened in the history that today there are close to 50 different vaccines that are in human trials already. I mean, just few months, not even 1 year of this disease, and already so many. That means these vaccines have been designed, they have been tested in vitro, and they have been tested for in animal system. They have gone through at least safety trials, and now they are entering the next stage. So that means we have lots of opportunity. It's just, however, it takes time. These are the things that cannot happen immediately, because you need to go large scale trial. You have to do tens of thousands of people, and after vaccination you have to just wait simply that they don't fall sick. You cannot, because we don't have treatment for this virus, so we cannot go and infect those people with virus and show that vaccine is prevented. So that is not possible. So we have so that's why stage 3 trials will take much longer time. But at the moment, what is positive is two things, two positives. So one is that there are lots of efforts. So, and almost all the vaccines have a government or academic institution as a partner, which is very good thing. So which means that the pricing of the vaccine and availability will be more rationalized. It will not go immediately into very controlled or profit oriented and so on. And the second thing which we have seen from our lab and elsewhere in the world, that although this is a virus which RNA virus supposed to change, it virus actually does not change so much as one would have been concerned in the beginning. We have seen that the mutation rate in this virus is as expected, or even at least a little bit less. And what we are seeing, the different variations of this virus that are appearing, they are not more dangerous or more infectious or nothing of that. So we, in fact, we continuously sequence the virus. We have now several hundred genomes of this virus monitored from sequenced to nucleotide level, and from different parts of the country. And India has generated close to 2,500 or 3,000 genomes of this virus, which means we have a fair idea of how this is varying or not varying within the country. And all over the world, the virus is sequenced very extensively. So this means that the vaccines once made, they will be effective against the virus all over the world, most probably. At least the mutation in the virus is not going to hamper like it does in the other coronaviruses or common cold virus. It will not hamper the vaccine or drug effort. They'll supposed to go well. India is very important, and in fact, whole world looks at India when you talk about vaccine, because we have tremendous history where we have produced vaccine and provided to the whole world. Today, India is probably one of the largest supplier of vaccine. Particularly, Hyderabad probably supplies a significant proportion of vaccine to the whole world. And uh, uh, about 20 years ago, CCMB was involved in development of first recombinant vaccine with Shanta Biotech against hepatitis B, and that vaccine changed the game. Actually, earlier the vaccine was several dollars, some $20-25, which became few cents after the Indian vaccine came in the market, and India started to supply the whole world, and many other companies had to close their shop. So which means we have the capacity of producing things at very low cost. So let us hope that some of these vaccines will see the light of the day. Until that happens, we have to keep trying, and that's the very basis of research, that we keep trying, and some of things will work. But the options today are so many that it's unlikely that everything will fail. So hopefully next year we will have multiple vaccine options, and put together they will provide good protection, and hopefully protection that will be durable for the population.
Three things from each one of you that India should continue to do and institutionalize, that should be adopted as a learning and the best thing that could be contributed by this crisis to the India. What are those three things each one of you would like to hear that India should continue to do and institutionalize?
So the three things, this is like a test. So I would say the first thing will be that we should not go only by economic factors. We must make sure that crucial things are produced here, even if it costs more. So that is where the industry has to come up with the patience, because profits might be less, and government has to support them and maybe even encourage where the market is less to for the exports, so that they can establish themselves firmly. So that's one thing that we make sure that we become, as a government is already talking about Atmanirbhar. So Atmanirbhar doesn't mean totally introvert. Atmanirbhar means we should look for the word and supply them also the thing, so that we are not dependent on somebody. That's one thing. Second thing is our power, our strength, our treasure is the young people. They are the one who are going to make the difference. That is where India stands out from many other countries. So I consider the large population an asset, because you don't have to look for a market, you don't have to look for everything is available here, and you have a large number of young people. Average age of this country is so young, and that is who are the people whom we have to support and and enable them for the innovation. We should change this idea that government will provide job. Government's role is to govern, not to provide job, not to make hotels, not to run supply chains, and these are the things people will do. Government's job is to promote innovation, so that young people react to the problem in a constructive way, enable them, and so innovation, which already is in the place. And the third thing, which is probably more for my profession, other two things I said were relatively general, is that academic institutions are the institutions which are addressing fundamental basic sciences, like universities and IITs. They all must always think that whenever the problem comes, we have to be ready, because we are using public money for our curiosity, our learning, our pursuing our interest. But when the challenge comes, when the problem comes, people look at us. So we should be responsive, and that's the something without any question. I can tell you that, and this is from my first hand experience and observation, that I'm seeing institutions have responded tremendously. And this is one thing that we should not stop, that now COVID is gone, so let's not worry about it. There are many other healthcare problems. There are many other diseases. The genetic disease burden of this country is enormous, enormous. Those are things that, so now we know how to work together. Now we know that if we work together, we can address big problems like global pandemic. So therefore, this working together and being ambitious and solving large problem should continue, and we should not relax on that or give up on that. So yeah, there are many other things, but these are three things I would think that we should continue doing.
Very valuable, sir. Very correct. And coming over to Dr. Praveen, sir, your insight, what are those 3 points that India should institutionalize learning from the COVID?
I think we have learned a lot from COVID, and talking about healthcare, I think we have also realized the already well-known fact that our healthcare infrastructure and human resources are inadequate. So we need to really focus on that part to ramp up the infra and to have more qualified manpower to healthcare. Second, we are already one of the powerhouse in pharmaceuticals, but we also need to have our sleeves rolled up for manufacturing of other related things like equipment, implants, where we are heavily dependent on other countries. So I think uh, that is another area which we will have to also couple up with R&D in the whole medical and healthcare industry. And the last point, which we earlier discussed today, is use of India's power in IT and it's all human resources to ensure that the effects of this healthcare and digital revolution combined together trickle down to the last man on the street.
And you were rightly said, sir, India, way the India has responded. way back even in the January and February with proactive measure of surveillance of the patients and other thing. But the decisions that the government and the policymakers took were very critical, whether it was about the National Digital Health Mission coming out with an ICT, various platforms, or coming out with a production linked incentive for pharma industries, or promotion of the medical devices manufacturing in the country, and the promotion and collaboration of the public and private sectors in terms of technology transfers, and a lot of other initiatives that the government has worked. And it all goes to the decision makers like you all who have been making the right choices, and which has been a great support in building a very strong foundation and a response to such kind of a crisis. We are glad that India has rich experience and lessons learned from the current and past epidemic crisis, enabled by our innovation capabilities, digital health, and pharmaceutical sector that will shape the future of health system of our country. Having said that, thank you very much, sir, for your time. It has been a very, very insightful discussion with you, and we hope our viewers enjoy this discussion. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for adding that color to the conversation. The conclave will deliberate on finding insights and in-depth look at the changing dynamics of the world. We will resume after a small networking break. Please check out our resource center and expo area for networking opportunities.